Ready?
All right, Kamaljeet, give me a countdown.
Okay. Da 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 ti da 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 ti da 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 ti da.
Wow.
Eventually.
Welcome to another episode of Absolute Focus. We just got back from vacation in Hawaii.
It's awesome.
Hence, me wearing this
A festive shirt.
horrible shirt.
It's not horrible.
It's pretty ugly. It's like not Hawaiian. It's not Indian. It's like some hybrid that doesn't work. Like peanut butter and mirchan or something. Like it just doesn't work. It sounds, but it gives me.
What does it give you?
Like when people see me wearing this shirt, they'll be like, "That guy looks like a musician that's like really deep into, like he doesn't have time for fashion. He's just so involved in his music."
Very true. Yep.
Right?
Yep. The stains on the buttons help.
Oh yeah, that helps too.
That really helps.
That's
I didn't notice that. But,
when my son hugs me and with his dirty hands, like he gives you some gifts.
He does.
Yeah.
Beautiful
And
gift.
you
then
should wear like a plastic layer.
So we have some upcoming gigs that like let me just say them up at the beginning.
We'll forget. Yeah.
On July 1st, Saturday, July 21st, I believe 6 p.m., Kamaljeet and I are playing at the prestigious Norton Simon Museum in Pasadena. Wow. Yeah, so make sure you guys check out the website and come get the tickets.
We'll love
And
to
then there's another amazing festival of classical music that's happening August 3rd and 4th.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's called the Festival of Tabla. It's centered around tabla, but it features tabla solos, obviously, but it also features like Kathak dance, Bharatanatyam dance. It features classical vocal,
Oh,
instrumental
that's new.
classical.
That didn't happen last time. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're going all out. And the festival is being closed by none other than my Guruji, Ustad Tari.
What? He hasn't played a solo in forever.
Yeah, so he hasn't played in LA in a long, long time.
Oh my God, we have to.
And so this is a
we're in
really
entourage, we have
once
to
in a
go.
lifetime opportunity, especially for tabla fans. You guys should come out. And it's been decided that
Oh my God, what?
whoever's going to accompany Ustad Tari happens to be Absolute Focus's own Kamaljeet Ahluwalia.
Wow.
Yeah, with Ustad Tari to
Holy
close out
moly.
the tabla festival. So everybody should go to
Hey, wait,
festivaltabla.com.
Yes.
and use the promo code Absolute Focus, and you'll get a
Yes.
20% discount.
20%.
Yeah, on tickets for the whole festival. So check that
It's
out.
gonna be so awesome. I'm so excited and petrified.
Did you
Yeah,
were you
imagine.
were you gonna say something?
Averten.
Averten might be after this episode airs.
Oh.
I mean, we just performed at Averten and we killed it. Arun and Shiva killed it, and we killed it. It was awesome.
Wait,
it was like,
what is it? Overton. Guiders.
Yeah,
yeah, it's
Gaiti
like June
thing.
29th.
Big up the guy.
Oh, you guys are playing. You're doing it.
Yeah,
You're doing a set there.
yeah.
Cool.
And I mean, we just did a set there, right? 'Cause
did.
Oh, yeah,
killed
we
it.
did,
It
yeah.
was destroyed. There's like 10,000 people there.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hollywood
Man.
Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. They had to like send people back, right?
Yeah, man, there was no space left. It was so awesome.
So we have a guest today, and I'm really excited about this guest.
Me too.
Who's that guest then?
So it's weird in the music world. There's like links, and people are connected in ways that you don't really
Oh yeah,
know.
definitely.
So in I can't remember, early 90s, maybe late 80s, early 90s. I'm like 10 or 11 years old, and then there's this joint dance production of Mahabharat. With like Bharatanatyam dancers and Kathak dancers, and my Ustad happens to be playing tabla. It's a big production. Ravi Shankarji's son is on sitar.
This
Shiva
sounds
Shankar.
amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, and I
right.
got to go to the rehearsals, and then obviously I went to the show, and it was awesome. And this the lead dance company for the Bharatanatyam side was by a woman named VG Prakash,
Okay.
who we have great respect for, and she's like
She's so
a
lovely.
tremendous performer. She's a lovely person. Like we've been doing gigs like in LA for years now, right? Kamaljeet and I. And just randomly sometimes afterwards, like this sweet auntie comes up to us and says, "Oh, you guys did great," and like gives us big hugs, like loving hugs.
Yeah, she's.
And
really
then you're
nice.
like, wait, you're a big dancer. Why did you come to this little show? Like, and she's like, oh, I just wanted to see you guys. Like, she's been to quite a few of our shows.
Yeah, it's
And
been
she,
really lovely.
yeah, she like we got to open for Anushka Shankar for like 3 or 4 days, and she came to all of those. And then I've played with Ginger a few times, and she came
Yeah,
to
Mindfully was
those.
there.
Are you talking about my mom?
Yeah.
She doesn't even come to my own concerts.
Oh
Their
man.
parents
What
don't
is-
do that,
what?
man. Parents do not do that.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I gotta
and
tell
yeah,
you.
like
have
she
parent
gives
stories
she
too.
gives us a lot of love. like I mean genuine that she supports us and gives us like guidance and like tips and like and praise, which is key because my parents don't give praise.
No.
yeah,
But
she doesn't do that to me.
but yeah, so like then later on her son, who is our guest today, does his own amazing projects, and we've got to work a little bit together in the past, like several years ago, and they were amazing. But let's welcome our guest Aditya Prakash.
Yay!
Thank
Welcome.
you, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. It was a long drive. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to. LA's a crazy place. you know.
Yeah, LA is a crazy place.
But you guys are used to the driving. You said.
Oh yeah, it's all good.
we use it to listen to recordings.
I love going on long drives because I have recently had an obsession with Mendy Hassan.
Oh.
So I'm like,
that's
let's
great.
go on a really long ride so we can just listen to ghazals the whole time.
Yeah, no, it's like a great place to like. It's kind of like a meditation almost when,
Yeah.
when
It
there's
is.
no traffic.
Yeah.
Even if there is traffic, if there's
Yeah.
good music, I don't really care.
Yeah, I guess
It gets
you're
me
just so
through it.
used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, why don't you tell us about like how you started? Obviously, your mom is in the music business.
But that doesn't mean you should go into it. So yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get into this world?
Well, I grew up obviously, like you said. My mom she's a very well-known dancer, and she started the first Bharatanatyam school in LA in 1975. So I don't know. I wasn't even an idea or a concept at that time. But when I did exist in this world in 1988, the first sound I heard, I mean, I don't remember this, but there were dance rehearsals happening all the time. My mom didn't take a break.
Wow.
So I grew up hearing Carnatic music. There would be there would be no quiet in our house at any point. There would be like bells, there'd be stomping. We get noise complaints from our neighbors. Like it was kind of crazy. So this was a sound I grew up with, and I didn't show any interest in classical music at all. My parents would always wonder why, like because my sister Maithili Prakash, who's also a very respected dancer.
Amazing dancer.
Yeah, and she got into Bharatanatyam when she was like 2, and she did her first performance when she was like 4. Or
Holy
something.
moly.
And I was like, my parents were like, "What's happening to this boy?" I'm 4 and I'm still playing with my cars, just like in my own world. And then I remember the story. I don't quite remember exactly how it happened, but everyone tells me that there was one rehearsal where I was just playing with my cars, and they were just like doing a raga malika, which means like a raga mala, different ragas. And I just started in the corner. I was like, Mohanam, Revati. I was just like naming the ragas.
Oh, nice.
And then everyone was kind of surprised. And then the singer, whose name is Debo Srivatsa, like he started quizzing me on the ragas, and I was getting most of them. And then so my parents were like, okay, this is pretty amazing. So he is kind of soaking in the music. And then from that day, I think I was about 5, Debo Srivatsa, who was my mom's dance singer, he started teaching me vocal lessons.
Oh wow.
And yeah, that's how it started, the initial lessons. And obviously the initial lessons were like, they were tough to get me to sit.
Torture?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because you're a child.
Yeah, I don't want to do
Children
that.
don't say
Did
it.
they bribe you in any way?
Yeah, I mean, we would just play cricket. Like, he taught me about cricket. And then, so
cricket's your
I would end up
thing.
playing baseball, and he would be playing cricket. But
Uh.
that was like, he said, if you sing for half an hour, we'll go play cricket. Like, there would be little things like that, little
awesome.
motivational tools that would get me to sit in class. And then naturally, as you progress, like, and you learn more complex songs, like, I would love the challenge of learning songs and then getting the positive reinforcement from my teachers made me want to keep doing it. So
Yeah,
that was
dude, your
important.
teacher's praise is like gold.
It's gold.
Oh,
Because
my
it's
God.
rare.
Yeah, exactly.
It's rare. You could do
Feels
the
so
most
good.
amazing thing, and they'll be like,
Exactly.
Like,
They
it's
won't say
okay.
anything. Yeah. when you just get that one compliment, you know that, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
I'm on the right path, and so I have to keep going.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I started. I started going to Chennai for advanced training.
In like the summers?
All my summer.
How old did that start?
It was 1999, so I was about 10 or 11.
Wow.
So all my friends would wonder where the heck I would go. Like every summer and winter, I would be gone, and they would be like, "What
So
happened
the
to our
whole
friend?"
summer, how many months is
2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Yeah, and they were miserable for me at the time because I missed In and Out, I missed
Like
Taco
French
Bell.
fries.
Of
Oh,
course,
It's
yeah, you're young.
And there
10.
and I was in Chennai, and at that time there weren't many like different cuisines. It was just South Indian food.
Yeah.
Which is okay for like a few days, and I was like missing the pot. I
Yeah.
was missing all the good stuff, especially Mexican food.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I think Mexican food.
Dude, you
is the
leave
hardest.
California, you run into that problem.
I know exactly. It's like the hardest to get outside of California. But yeah, and I just missed because I totally associate with being an American kid. So I missed the cultural aspect when I was away in India. But
Were you going by yourself, or was your family with you?
the one summer, most summers, my dad would come with me.
Okay.
But there was a few times where he sent me alone. Like I remember, like being like a minor and having like the assistance of the,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
people cutting all the lines. It was pretty sweet.
That is pretty fun.
Yeah,
I've done that a few times.
yeah, it's a great feeling. Yeah, there was a couple of summers. There was one summer I stayed with my teacher in Chennai, Sugandha Kalamekam, who was my first teacher that I started learning from in Chennai. Before that, I was learning with Devo Srivatsa,
Right.
and then in LA with Rose Murali Krishnan. It was like I would go once a week for class. She lived in Cerritos.
Okay.
That was just kind of for me to keep the momentum going with, because Srivatsa would come every once in a while, and I would also learn keyboard. Carnatic music on the keyboard from Murali Krishnan uncle, who is Rose auntie's husband.
Oh, okay.
And they both really kept the spark and interest in me going while like my initial teacher Deva Shrivata would go. And then I continued with her for some time, and then that's when I started. They also gave me a lot of positive reinforcement, and things were going in the right direction. So they were like, why don't you go to Chennai and take it to the next level? Yeah.
Wow. And then
Wow.
what? So like but you were schooled in America. You have homework. You have sports. You're a Lakers fan.
Oh hell yeah.
You got to watch all those games. So where is Riaz fitting in? In like where's practice happening?
For
Like,
a
how is it
10-year-old,
happening?
10 or 11-year-old.
That's
yeah.
where the parents come in, man. There would be days where my dad would take away my video games. He would turn off the cable. He would it would all be for practice. I would think like, this guy is crazy. Why does he?
So
have
he was
me-"
strict.
Yeah, he was strict about practicing.
But
And
he's not a musician, right?
he's not a musician, but
He was a connoisseur.
he left everything. He left his job for my mom to start her dance school to help her
Oh,
run
what an
it.
amazing person.
So yeah, I was very lucky to have the support of him from a young age. I knew him being at home and like helping my mom, and like looking after me, and while she would be in class like all day, and her schedule was insane. But he was holding down the fort, and he was a true supporter of the arts. And
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to meet him several times, and
Yeah.
he was always supportive. But I didn't know that he had this strict side to him.
oh yeah, he would. So he heard that the best time to practice is between like 5:30 and 6, like
In
to
the
warm
morning.
up in the morning. Yeah.
That's
but-
when Kamaljeet was doing 4 to 7 for a long time.
Yeah, 4 and
But that's
7.
insane. 4 to 7.
Well, if you got
It was
children,
to beat the
yeah.
Yeah, that's a
children from
different
waking
reason.
up. It was
Yeah,
before they woke
That's
up.
why I have to go to sleep at 8.
Oh my god.
Then I'm not like a zombie the next day.
Well, that is like a good time. Like I heard the best time.
It's
to
a
sleep.
spiritual
It feels
time.
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
I mean,
to
like in
practice at that
religion, like
time.
in our Sikh religion, we call it Amrit Vela. Like that's when you're supposed to
The
pray.
most auspicious
Right,
time.
right.
Yeah.
And so your riyaz then
Everything's
becomes a form
quiet.
of prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So there is something like, and every religion has something that says
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But there's a common theme there that like that somewhere between 4 and 7.
It's like an auspicious time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
didn't.
wait, he used to wake you up at that time?
Yeah, he used to wake
Before
me up.
school.
Before school, yeah, and I would just I would hate it, but he would just make me practice, and he'd also wake up whenever Srivatsa was there visiting. He would wake him up too to like give me class, and like he'd be like, "What's up? What's up? What's up? Wake up! Wake up! Can you wake up?" Because I wouldn't wake up, and my dad woke me up, so what's up would have to wake me up.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd be like, "Okay, my teacher's waking me up. I have to go."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, but those like morning voice riyas practice sessions, I think really helped me a lot now, like in terms of like helping with the bass notes and
Yeah.
So that was
I-
purely Riyaz, no,
purely-
like
yeah,
purely like running scales and
scales, yeah, and a lot of low notes. He helped me-
Exercises.
exercises.
exercises, and I think that's where like the technical comfort I get in my vocal usage comes from those years of like,
Yeah.
intense
Yeah. Wow.
training, and I've kind of laid back on that now. I kind of enjoy practicing, like improvising. I
Yeah.
still do my riyas, but I don't spend that much time like how I did.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
I think
that-
that's the case
Maintenance.
for all of us. That
Yeah.
like that physical like portion of it was in your youth,
It's
and
best
now
done
it's
in
kind
your
of
youth, yeah.
it's more mental and
exactly.
you're thinking about things differently. And
Yeah.
but
It's kind of embedded in you.
but
Yeah.
I mean, for everyone who's listening, the people that do it when they're young, like that's like gold.
It's, yeah.
Uh,
We
Yeah.
wish we did it more when we were young.
like a 10-year-old practicing like something physical, like exercises or scales.
They
or
don't really
whatever.
get that
Well,
tired.
like
Yeah.
if it's just 15 minutes, is like the equivalent of like an adult doing it for like 2 hours.
yeah.
Right.
Like that, it's so like valuable. Like the time that you do as a kid.
It really is.
Absolutely, and like back then, I was so annoyed with my dad and and all that. But like, I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for that. And I really am grateful. And I think as a parent, it's important to find the fine balance between pushing your kid and like letting them figure it out on their own. Because
Yeah.
if it was up to me, I would just be playing video games
Yeah.
and like playing all the time. And
But so at some point, like the tables turn where now you're in love with it. Like
Yeah.
you want to do the riyaz. Like when is there is it just gradually over time, or do you think there was some specific thing that happened that were like, oh, you know what, I love this.
Oh, you didn't even notice, yeah.
when I think about it, I kind of don't notice, but I'm trying to think about a time, and I think it was when I started going to Chennai, and it's also about the compositions that I started learning, the more complex ones, like
Yeah.
the challenge I like,
Challenges,
like
yeah.
they keep, because the compositions get, I mean, they're still challenging, and I was singing things that people do on the concert stage when I was like 10 or 11. Like my teachers were pushing me because I was making improvements, so I saw that as a challenge, and I reacted well to challenge. And then my teacher, when I was 11 or 12, said, "Do you want to? I think you're ready for a concert, like a full-on 2-hour concert, solo concert."
Wow.
And so that also was another challenge I looked forward to. And then, yeah, just like being on stage and performing was something that it just like it resonated with me at that age. I think I didn't have.
So this is like your teens now, or
No, not I was like 11, 12.
okay?
I wouldn't have as much. I wasn't in my head as much. So I was just singing free. Like I was
Yeah.
I was really
Yeah.
confident. Like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that phase.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
miss
that is a great phase.
Yeah, it was
'Cause
almost
now,
like
now the
Now
more
you
you
know,
know, the
yeah.
like the more scared you get.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You know what? I'm nowhere.
exactly.
Yeah, the more you know, the
You're
more
in
you
your
feel.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was like a house concert I did, and everyone before me like sang. We had a slot for like about half an hour, 45 minutes, and everyone usually in Carnatic music you sing a few compositions. You don't sing like one long rag like how you would do in a North Indian concert. But like I just went and I sang one song for half an hour, and I was just like, I'm gonna sing this. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna sing it so well. I'm gonna like sing this raga Shri Ranjani for half an hour. And then after the concert, my teacher was like, "What did you do? Like everyone else sang so many songs. Who do you think you are? Just singing
Yeah.
like a half an hour raga." But I just had that confidence, and I think, yeah, it's important for the teacher to always keep you in your place and make sure you're in line. And that's why it's the Indian classical system. It's so important to have a guru or a mentor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And throughout all, I mean, I still have mentors in my life. They've changed and evolved with me. And so I guess it was just the progress I was making, the concert opportunities. And then one big thing in my life was performing with the Ravi Shankar, Pandit
Right.
Ravi Shankar.
So how did that
Oh,
happen?
you were in his orchestra.
Yeah, I was in his
Oh.
tour. So he obviously, you had mentioned that Shubhoji,
Yeah.
his son, was he was composing music for my mom,
Right.
and so he would stay with us for many summers and things like that. Raviji was known to us. Like he knew our family. He didn't know that I sing or I was very serious about music. But like so those summers in India when I started doing concerts, I was about 13, 14 by that time. Sukanya auntie, his wife, heard they're always looking for like young talent, and especially like they were surprised to hear that I was singing well. So they called me over to their house in San Diego in Encinitas,
Right.
and they just asked me to prepare like half an hour just to like sing for Raviji. He wants to hear you sing, and I was pretty nervous, obviously, but I thought, okay, I mean, it's just I can do this. I mean, I'm just gonna sing at his house. It's gonna be informal. When I went there was like a whole audience, like, and
Oh, goodness.
Tanmoy Bose was there,
Oh, okay.
and like
His crew.
his crew was there, and
Who else was anybody? Any of the names you
I think
remember?
I don't remember. I just remember Tanmoy Da.
Okay.
There was a lot of people like family, friends, and all that.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, what is this? But
Who was with you?
I had
Who was in your crew?
in my crew. My mom came, my dad came, my sister, and then I had a violinist named Krishna Kutti and Veda Krishnan on mridangam. They'd come to perform with me, and he kept requesting songs. Like I'd finished my half an hour. He was like, "Okay, sing. Do you know Vachaspati?" Like he knows so much about Carnatic
Right.
ragas and all that. And it turned out to be like a 2 hour thing, and it was just like he was just so lighthearted and down to earth, and he was
What's your feeling? Like, are you confident? Are you scared? How are you?
at that moment. I think I'd started off being nervous, but then I got really confident. I was just happy to sing, and like
Yeah.
the fact that he was like smiling, enjoying, and like requesting me to sing other things was like, this is incredible. Like one of the greatest musicians here in front
Yeah.
of me, like
Wow.
requesting songs from me, and like
That's awesome.
and songs that I knew too. So it was like it was incredible. Like I sang Vachaspati, and he asked for Kapi, Kiravani, and some South Indian ragas that he likes. And
It's a tremendous thing because we have lots of like friends that you're right. Like he's an elderly person. He's like at the top of the world, and then he just invites people to his house and just wants to listen to music.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like that's a
you know
tremendous.
other people.
Yeah, like that's tremendous.
Yeah.
because he could be like, I've heard it and seen it all.
Exactly.
Screw you guys. Right?
Exactly.
Right. Like he could have had that attitude.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, like you have a lot of your friends from England, like Bernard and Somek, and like a lot of my friends here, like same thing. They're just like, yeah, the dude they called one day and they just wanted us to sing for
Exactly.
him, and then they all share some of the stories where he's just into it.
He's so curious. He's
Yeah.
like a kid, like a little kid. Like his curiosity and enthusiasm with music is infectious and it's inspiring. Like I
Yeah.
hope I can keep that kind of curiosity in my music
Yeah.
till that age. Like
Yeah, Ustad tells a story because Ustad's like been sort of summoned at his house like several times, and like he said, yeah, like it was just they were amazing times, and he's into like every single like minute detail. And,
oh yeah, his attention to detail is astounding,
yeah,
especially with orchestration. Like seeing him orchestrate the group and like
Yeah.
small little details.
So you sang at the house, and then
So yeah, I sang in the house. Concert went well. Then a few months later, I got a call from Raviji when he was in Russia. He called my parents and he said, I'm doing a Festival of India 3 tour next year. Would your son be interested in joining me?
they must have jumped.
Oh, they freaked out. I mean, they told me. I think they just said yes without even asking me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
But so we said yes without realizing the repercussions, which would be me missing the first 3 months of my senior year in high school.
fine.
Yeah. But we had to convince luckily most high schools don't let you they would just be like, take a year off and come back and
Yeah.
do see your senior year another time or next year. But they allowed me to like as long as I studied on my own and had a tutor and I had the books and I was taking I was checking with my teachers every few weeks. They let me go on the road, and I did miss my first 3 months. I took my SATs in some random school in New York right before I think our Carnegie Hall show. Wow! So it was things that I never dreamed of.
How big is this orchestra?
It was 7 or 8 people, a mix of South Indian and North Indian.
Was there anyone from England at that point? Prasanna
Prasanna,
or
yeah,
Hari
Prasanna.
Srivastav.
Hari was
I
there.
know both of those.
Yeah, it's a small
Prasanna.
world.
Oh yeah,
Good
so the
friend.
another link like that we didn't talk about that our families like have known each other was I was about to go meet Kamaljeet for the first time, and I was about to fly out the next morning,
Uh-huh.
and you came to my dad's house to pick up Prasanna.
Huh?
Long time
You
ago.
were recording your
That was still in Corona, right?
yeah, it's just down the road. That's where my
Ah.
kids are right now. So like
That night.
that night before, I'd never met Kamaljeet before,
Wow.
and like
I think
so
he
Ginger was
he
over,
just
Prasanna
randomly
was
asked.
over,
I think I
and
remember that. Yeah.
and like they were just like making fun of me. So Prasanna was a common friend. Like I knew Prasanna from here,
Prasanna knew her.
And I
then
knew him 'cause
She
I
knew him from
performed with him.
England, and so I was like asking him questions like, what's
What's
she
your
Tell me
like?
about her.
Yeah, what's her family like? What does she do? Is she like is she cool? Like,
Yeah.
and then I think we've talked about that story on the first episode, but. You drove in the next day to pick up Prasanna for a recording. I think you were recording your first Ape album.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
yeah.
there's like lots of different things that happen.
Yeah.
That's crazy. My god, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Then I probably met you at those rehearsals. Like if you were, I think this is like 91 or 92. And you must have been 3 or 4. I would have been like 11. So
I do
Must
not
have been
remember
running
that.
yeah, I don't remember either if there was a little kid running around, but I went to those rehearsals
Wow.
with Shoboji, my teacher, your mom.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know this story.
So yeah, so like this orchestra, Kamaljeet has friends in it,
Yeah.
and that's amazing. So how many like how long was the tour and how many?
It was
cities?
it was like 2.5 months, 2 months. It was pretty intense. Like
was
I don't know
packed?
how we did it. We did like I had my first tour bus experience.
Wow.
Oh wow!
It was like
It must be so much
luxury
fun
tour
with the whole
bus.
crew.
Yeah,
'cause
how
all
and you're
young,
like
right?
17, 16,
You
I was
young.
16. I was 15 and 16.
Oh wow! On a tour bus?
Yeah, man. It was a
dude.
trip.
You must have been on top of the world.
I was. I think that's all right. So before that, I had this notion that being a performing artist would just be a hobby and like I'd go into engineering
Yeah.
or something, like
Yeah.
Some
standard.
respected
Yeah.
line of work.
Even though my mom's an artist and my dad supports arts, I just didn't think, okay, what am I going to do with my Carnatic music? And my tutors at the time were like, he was also encouraging. He was like, you're really good at math. And I don't know why he thought that, but that gave me confidence to think I would just go be an engineer or something. But my experience with Raviji, like seeing how he toured in style and like how he made music and how being an Indian classical musician was cool. Like I was like, that was the first time I was like, this is the thing. I want to do this. Like he made it accessible. He made it. He didn't really box Indian music into one type of thing. It was his audience wasn't just Indian people.
No.
It was a diverse base, and he was also collaborating with different styles of music.
Right.
And I think that was also before my tour with him. I was very shy about my Indian classical music. I grew up in the LA USC where I was one of 3 or 4 Indian kids.
Yeah.
And I was definitely the only kid who liked Indian classical music.
Yeah.
Like I would be dorking out over 1960 recordings of concerts, and my friends would be listening to like Usher and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Eminem, and I didn't relate to that music at all.
Dude, you and me, this is the same story, man.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I think-
I was the only Indian kid here. I was the only Sikh kid, and then like the music I listened to, like they're all old Indian dudes.
Yeah.
And, or they're dead.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Like
pretty
everybody on
Most
my
of
phone
them.
is dead.
Exactly.
I don't listen
Those
to
are-
like people that are alive.
I don't like people who are alive that are singing. I mean, I prefer the dead people. Yeah.
So it's a similar story. So I couldn't relate. Like, and I know other people like in the Indian classical world, they'll name off like all the pop music and they know all the lyrics. And I was like, I had no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to this day I still don't.
I don't
was the
either.
She has
opposite.
to fill me in.
I was the opposite.
You were the opposite?
Well, I listened to Indian classical music, but then I listened to everything else as well.
That's
So I was Red Hot Chili Peppers, I was Foo Fighters, I was not really Usher.
And then if I did hear something,
yeah.
I would come at it from like an Indian classical.
Of course,
I was like, dude,
yeah.
that's Kirwani. Oh, dude, Eminem just like went into 3/4.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Eminem, that sentence is 5/4.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Lakari.
Yeah.
Like I
You
wouldn't
still
come
do
at
that
it.
now.
I wouldn't come at it that like from whatever. I don't know what Western perspective you come at it from.
Right.
I come at it from my world.
Right. That's exactly
Yeah.
how I saw it. But I think I also like kind of shut that music out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be if I'm doing music, it's only gonna be Carnatic. I don't wanna experiment with anything.
Yeah.
And this is pre Ravi G
Right.
before I met him, and yeah, I mean, so I was in this dichotomy of my American identity because I did.
Sorry,
What is
why
this
is this
for?
fly
Dude, I
coming
don't know. It's
from?
like
Leave me
Jurassic
alone.
Park up in here. It's like pterodactyls flying all around.
It's a loud one. Yeah, it's kind of distracting me. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was kind of subduing my Carnatic identity. It was kind of like a balance. I would hide my Indian identity when I was at school. I would be like kind of shy, embarrassed of my. I would never sing. People didn't know I sang. Like, and I was doing concerts in India, like 3 hour concerts. So it was like people like I was leading this parallel life that nobody knew about. Um, and then yeah, they wondered where I went for like a couple of months, 3 months, my senior year in high school, and then I came back with this sort of confidence, like, okay, I have this rich tradition. I just performed at Carnegie Hall. I just performed at Disney Hall. I performed at Hollywood Bowl. Like, why should I be embarrassed of this? This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And then that's the first time, like I was in choir in high school, and I never tried out for solos. I was just kind of in the back doing the bass parts, like boom, 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 like just like, and people didn't even know I really sang. Um, and then after I got back from Refugees tour, there was a musical, Beauty and the Beast. I remember this, and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna try out for the lead role. And I never sung Western music or anything. I never tried out for a lead role, and I got the Beast. I was like the
Wow.
Beast in the
Wow.
musical, and that was the first time I kind of started to feel comfortable, like in my own body, in my own voice. And I started like I did a workshop on Carnatic music for my friends in high school, and that was before I never sang a phrase of Indian music to them because I was just like I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But I think seeing how Raviji adapted his music to like a worldly aesthetic, like different cultures, and but he still maintained his Indian classical aesthetic within that. It kind of opened it up for me, and all the like the Ushers I heard, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, everything I heard, it started coming back to Indian. Like you said, you heard everything in terms of Indian classical
Yeah.
aesthetic, like the laya, the ragas, and
Right.
everything. And so I started that started coming back to me, and I started thinking about how can I how can I use my language of Indian classical music to express my identity as an American.
Mm.
And then that's where I started. That's like I wanted to go to UCLA for an ethnomusicology degree and meet other musicians and learn about different styles. And I started learning a bit more about jazz, started scratching the surface, and then I guess that's where the outlet of my ensemble became important. And that's when at UCLA when I met my roommates and my college friends, and we started experimenting with this dialogue between Indian classical and jazz
Yeah.
and everything.
So yeah, let's talk about that for a bit because the Aditya Prakash ensemble, like, you guys are tremendous musicians.
Yeah,
Like,
each one of you.
I mean, I think it's clear that you're a tremendous musician, but like your
Everyone
whole
around
team,
you.
Yeah.
Julian's a beast.
Yeah, he is, man.
Like, that guy's awesome, and the whole team is awesome. So like, and these are all just like your school buddies, like.
Yeah. I mean, I was
You're
lucky, man.
yeah.
I was lucky more than I mean, I loved UCLA and everything I learned, but more than anything, like just being in touch and meeting these musicians and having so much time for us to like dialogue and create with no agenda besides curiosity and wanting to learn more about each other's styles. That's what really I think allowed us. I'm glad we met in college because it gave us the space and time to like
Yeah.
really discover. And yeah, everyone in the group has their own project and is an incredible musician in their own right. And it never was about like them backing me or like them accompanying. It was about a collaborative spirit in our group from the beginning.
Yeah.
And
Let's listen to a track by the Aditya Prakash Ensemble, and you'll see like the tremendous musicianship by these guys. This is a cover of a Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Qawwali,
yeah, so
and I used to listen to this Qawwali a lot.
yeah, so this is kind of different. I mean, this is my dad's favorite Kowali, and
Yeah.
he would like when he was in his last few days, he would listen to this Kowali every day, and he would just like yeah, it was very emotional and it would make him cry and like it's about the power and seriousness of love. Love is
Yeah.
just not, it's not frivolous. It's a serious thing. And yeah, the way he loved us was serious. He gave his life for us and for music and the arts. And so this song was kind of my offering to him. And I wanted to do it. Obviously, I can never do it in the proper Qawwali style because I've never been trained in that way, and I can never try and mimic how Nusrat Ji would sing it. So I kind of try to bring it into my ensemble aesthetic and
No,
make it my own.
it works
voice.
tremendously well. Let's take a listen now. For those of you listening on Dash Radio, the track will play now. For even those of you guys listening on the podcast that are lazy, right? We're not allowed to have the music in the podcast, but the link is in the description below. Just swipe up and you'll get it.
Lazy.
But yeah, let's take a listen now. And we're back. That was Qawwali by Aditya Prakash Ensemble.
So
And it was so well arranged.
you.
And that, like I said, that Qawwali had like a special place in my heart as well because I grew up listening to it like over and over and over and over again. But you did it beautifully. Like you did it justice.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
And so you dedicated that to your father.
Yeah. It was his. I released it on his 5th anniversary of his passing, which was April 7th or April 9th is around when I released it. And it's crazy. Like after he passed, every April 7th or around that time, me or my sister would have a concert. Like on that day, we would be touring or something.
Wow.
So music is always connected.
Yeah. So let me ask you about this. Your father passed, and I think within a day or so, you were on tour with Alam and Kirsch.
Yeah, you remember that.
And I can't remember who.
There's
Max.
Alam
Max.
Max CT.
Max. So Max is a good buddy of Kamaljeet, so he's a good friend of ours
Oh,
too.
that's right. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
So what was it ever a discussion like, you know what, my dad just passed away, like I'll do these concerts next time?
You know, that's funny. I don't realize that. Yeah, that time was kind of crazy. So I had a rehearsal scheduled that day with my band that morning, and I texted the guys like, guys, I don't know if we can meet today. My dad's really not doing well. And then an hour later he passed away, and then I canceled the rehearsal, and then I came home, and it was just like it was surreal because like he's always been here and now he's not. We had come home, we had been in the hospital for about a week, and I just sitting there and I was itching to like make music, and I was like, hey guys, I hope, sorry to like ask this again. I know you guys have cleared your schedule and then you had to make your plans again, but would you guys be able to come over and let's just make music? Don't worry about rehearsal. Let's just practice. And yeah, everyone came over and it was just beautiful, like to be able to have music there at that time and
So that
share
was
with my
your
friends.
that was your grieving process.
Yeah, I really think so. I like, it was kind of crazy. There wasn't any real grieving. It was just, it was kind of like a celebration almost. Like,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
yeah, because he was in pain, and I think you could see that like he was eased from that pain. Like his face looked finally relaxed that moment.
Yeah.
And Karsh called me that evening. Was like, hey, I know we have this big tour coming up, but I totally understand if like you can't do it. I'm so sorry sorry about this, and the timing is so unfortunate. But like in my mind, I was like, no, I want to do this. I have to go.
Yeah.
And
What he would want it.
exactly. And it was hard like to be on stage and sing. I remember like I would choke up a lot, and especially I had a lot of shows at the time with my band too. And every time I would talk or explain a song, I would just start tearing up, and it was a hard time to like, but it was a perfect outlet for me to express myself, because I don't talk much about my feelings. And like, so music is how I express it, and I think that there was no other way. I couldn't, canceling it wasn't an option. It was.
And was everybody on board? Like Maithili, your mom, like they all understood?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they were totally on. I mean, they didn't even question it. They're like,
because your mom, we went to the show in LA, and your mom was there as well, and and I was shocked to see her. You know, we gave her a big hug, like we touched her feet, we gave her a big hug, and she was, and I said like, I'm so sorry about your loss, and you know, she was she was cheering us up.
Yeah. My mom handled it like a champ. I thought she would break down, and it would be, she had a lot going on for her too with classes, and now she has to take over the school. But she was really holding it down, and she was cheerful. I mean, not cheerful, but she was, when she had to do her, like, sign the papers and do all the paperwork and all the transfer of names and everything, she handled it with poise, and she had a smile on her face the whole time. She was lighthearted in a way. She didn't hold herself down or bring herself down, and I think that also helped us to see it the same way. Me and Maithili. So
amazing.
I mean, I remember from the performance, like, we didn't. I mean, I just said, like, I know that, you know, Aditya's father just passed away, I think, like a day ago, but on stage you were performing, like, you weren't. I didn't notice any choking up. I didn't notice any, like, you know, oh, you know, he's thinking about something else. His mind's not here. Like, you had stage presence. You were there, and I was just blown away.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really, music is a beautiful thing, and like, the moments like that is when I realized how much like, I didn't break down. I mean, my dad was a big part of my life. I would spend almost too much time with him. I was like, Dad, can you leave me alone a little bit? Yeah. He was always with me, like, through the practicing, through India, like all my trips, and he was my biggest supporter of my music. And almost embarrassingly, he would come to all my concerts, and he would tell everyone at high school, I'm the father of the beast, you know. He was like
We need to tell your dad these stories. He's the opposite.
He's the opposite.
No,
my mom is.
I think externally, my dad tells people.
Oh yeah, he tells everyone.
But to us, it's like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
What are you doing on stage?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's wrong.
Yeah, I get it too, and I'm still like new.
Oh my god. But I think I wouldn't want. That's why I got embarrassed when he would like say nice things about me to other people.
They keep us in check, definitely. My dad.
Yeah. My mom does that as well. She's always complaining. I was like, can never please these people.
So this music, like the Aditya Prakash ensemble, like, it's got different influences. So it's definitely not traditional Carnatic music.
No.
Which, to be honest, my knowledge level isn't that high of. Like, I don't know that much about Carnatic music, except for the parts that we take. We're like, oh, we know Charukeshi, Nanstawani, and Wajra.
Well, technically,
we stole those.
It's not how they were.
We've stolen a lot too. So,
so yeah, I maybe, and since you have your feet sort of in both worlds, because I think I read that you studied with Shujat Khan.
while I was at UCLA.
While you were at UCLA, so
okay.
I just kind of dabbled.
So for example, when I played with you, you did a ghazal in Charukeshi.
Yeah.
And to me, it didn't sound like Carnatic Charukeshi. It sounded like our treatment of Charukeshi.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you can sort of talk about, like, if you know the differences, or if it's just happening by chance, or.
Well, first of all, like, the idea of collaborating with other styles was, like, I have to go back, because it didn't just happen because I wanted to just experiment with Indian music and doing other things. Like, even my mom, I remember, like, collaborations she did when I was a kid, which, like, with a flamenco dancer and with a gospel choir. God, this fly.
I don't even know where it came from.
No, the doors haven't even been opened.
Yeah, so, like, and I played mridangam for that, with the gospel choir, and, like, I heard raga everywhere, and so it was just an outlet for me to express my Indian music in a different way. And so then I met the band, and then when I started trying to find the space where it could dialogue, it became, my natural instinct was to go to ragas that are more the type of gamakam that's used in South Indian music, which really just differentiates it from North Indian music. Is called the kampitam.
Okay.
And it doesn't really have, it's not like a glissando, or it doesn't have a glide, but it's kind of like in a very aggressive form of
word I would use, aggressive.
Yeah. So, and it kind of, it may not suit well with harmony or instruments that can't kind of have that motion as well. So I found, the easier entry point for me for that collaboration was using ragas that are more, that don't use that gamakam as much, like a Charukeshi or a Kirwani. Okay. Whereas ragas like Artodi or Bhairavi which are different from the North Indian Todi and Bhairavi. Those are kind of hard. They take a little bit more time and internalization of how to use it without compromising the gamakam or the sound. Because
Right.
I mean, you honestly don't need anything besides just a sa and a shruti and tanpura
Yeah.
for those kind of ragas. And right now, I'm in a space where I'm looking into that and like how can I bring out these ragas in a way that's contemporary and kind of challenging. How can I make these gamakams sound not aggressive, or how can I bring my Carnatic music really into this contemporary space? And it's taken like maybe 7-8 years of experimenting. And yeah, the Charukeshi you heard it was easier to bring that in than maybe like a Thodi, which is very like a Carnatic Thodi, which is not easy to like do in a like contemporary setting.
Is that completely different than the North Indian Todi, or
Yep. So
it's different notes, or
sa ri ga ma pa da ni sa
okay, so it's
sa
different
ni
notes.
da ba ma ga ri sa. What's the North Indian Thodi? Re sa
I can't sing,
sa
but
ri
it's
Sari,
ga ma da
Gomul,
Yeah,
ni
that.
sa
yeah, that
ni
one.
da ba ma ga re sa.
Oh my god, I'm not
all
supposed to be doing the
komals.
thing.
All komals.
Yeah.
All Gomul. So when you are introduced to a rag,
Oh wait, is komal a thing in
they have
Carnatic?
you have a few Gomals, right?
Yeah.
It's called
yeah.
like R1, R2, R3. I don't know what that means.
I'm really bad with my Carnatic theory, but yeah.
Okay.
So there's
I
like
was like,
different.
what's 3?
So I can like sa ri ga, like for a ragam like nate. You would say sa
But you
ga
say yeah,
ga.
like the 3 I think is like there's actually two, if it's like a Ray 1 and Ray 2, the Ray 3 is actually like the Ga
Yeah.
or something like that.
Oh.
From
Yeah.
as much as I understand.
So like nate and jog would be sa ga ga ma
Yeah.
pa ni ma ga ga sa. We would say for nate sa ga ma ri sa ni ba
Oh.
ni sa. It's just about
It's easier to say.
it's just pronouncing it.
Oh, okay.
The vowel is just it's just a second scale degree basically. Regardless of whether it's R1, Re1, Re2, Re3, it's the second scale degree gets the name Re
Okay.
or Rishabham. So you can have Sa Ri Ga or Sa Ri Ga Ma Pa Da Ni Sa Ni Da Ba Ma Ga Ri Sa. Well, that wasn't right, but yeah.
So when you learn a rag, it's through a song, right?
Yeah.
You learn the song from whichever composer it was from the Trinity. But then
There's
how
other,
do you yeah, there's many others, but the big
Trinity
three.
is the most,
The big
yeah.
three.
Yeah.
How do you it's not just the song though. How do you get taught the rag? Like improvising, and how does that
Yeah.
come about?
That really can't be taught, and that's why I'm really grateful my teachers stress the importance of listening, and especially to the masters of the yesteryear masters or the doyens as they used to call them.
Yeah. That's the word they used.
Yeah,
what is that word?
doyens.
I don't know. I'll have to Google it.
Doyen.
A doyen.
That's just an Indian thing, right?
It's a very Indian thing.
Yeah, but
A British
it's an
Indian
English word, yeah, but
I still don't know what that word is.
So yeah, they stress the importance of listening, and that is the biggest tool to improvising. And
we get stressed that too, yeah.
Yeah, I think for any art form, it's important to listen, and that's how you get your inspiration. And so yeah, listening was the doorway into improvisation, and then obviously the study of compositions. The more you know in that raga, the more you can reflect on how the composer approached the raga, and you can use those ideas in your improvisation. So I think it's a blend of listening and learning and having a guru to sing it for to make sure you're on the right track, because you can do a lot of wrong things. And that was another struggle I faced, was being away from my teacher for a long time, many months. I would develop habits
Yeah, those are hard to break
that are hard to
if you
break.
practice wrong. That's the problem. So that's an issue that we have learning in the West, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the people that learned in India would like go down the road to their
Right.
guru like every day.
Right.
Even if it was just a matter of like, washing the dishes or something, but then, they could
still
still
be
sing
there.
something.
Yeah, sing something for
and
them.
then they'll be like, yeah, that's fine. Or no, change that to that. Like they
Right,
can make
exactly.
minor adjustments.
Right.
Whereas we in the West, our access to our gurus was if they happen to be touring here or we went there, and that's only, you can only do that so many times a year.
Right.
For me, it's always been like, once or twice. Same for you, right? So you can go wrong.
Totally. Yeah.
They give you a lesson, and then you come back, and your interpretation of it isn't right.
Exactly. And it just becomes so second nature, the wrong habits.
Yeah.
And that it's kind of hard to break it, but
But then the other advantage. So we started teaching on Fridays. The advantage is that when they gave you something, there was a way more than enough there to sustain you for like a year,
Exactly.
2 years, whatever it is.
right.
Now, like when you go and you're giving these guys lessons every week, they're not absorbing it. They're not meditating with it. They're not thinking about it because they're just like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Exactly.
So that the growing isn't happening. Whereas we got to grow.
I think
we
that's
grew.
there and like especially in Carnatic music, a lot of the top singers are kids like from America, and I think that style of learning when you have time to internalize it is really important, and you also develop your own kind of style. You find your own voice within that because you're given time with this dense, intense material to like really soak in with you. And the finer details the guru has to iron out.
Yeah.
But then you really find your voice. And so that's a benefit of like being away and not having class every day, every week, and like getting that space to really internalize it. So
Yeah.
I think there's a benefit.
What so I think I don't know how many years this has been, but Carnatic music is definitely like on a popular like upswing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think like I feel like that your audiences are getting bigger and bigger.
thought it
I
always
think
was.
they're maybe in the UK it always was,
Okay.
but, or maybe it's just that my awareness of it is now
Maybe.
growing. But I think over the last several years, like their audiences are getting bigger. The concerts are more and more. The regular layperson's understanding of Carnatic music is growing.
Yeah.
Whereas I think our like North Indian side
decreasing.
is on the decline.
Yeah,
I always
South Indian
disagree
I
with
know,
that.
like,
Oh,
just
really?
knows. In England is the only experience. Every South Indian I know, their children do some kind of music or dance. Whether they do that or engage drums or not, they'll know a little bit.
Yeah.
And I thought it was also always a cultural thing, like girls need to know how to cook. And
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
thought South Indians need to know how to do music or dance.
Yeah, that's like a thing. That's,
Yeah.
I mean,
So I don't think that's a thing for us.
Oh, that
Yeah,
isn't
it
like
isn't a
you
thing.
don't take like
Yeah, and
parents don't
I
make
think
you-
I think it's on a down. Maybe it's just I don't know. I could be wrong, right? But when we go to concerts, like
We
it's not
definitely
always-
feel there's not as many youngsters.
it's not sold out all the
yeah.
time unless there's like an A-lister.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Super
what my
A-lister.
point is like if there's a Carnatic guy that doesn't even have like that much of a name and
There'll be people.
thus
there
still
to
people will
see
support
them.
him and listen to him. Whereas I think here it's like only the big names are gonna draw.
Yeah. Well, in either field, it's just a niche community, and
Yeah.
and it's like very limited to that. Limited to that, and I guess my goal is kind of like what Ravi Ji did for North Indian music, and I guess the ensemble is a way for me in my concerts now. I've been explaining a bit about raga and like making it kind of like my last few shows I've been explaining about raga and Carnatic and my training and importance of a guru and my background a bit, and I think just people hearing about this classical art form that wouldn't hear it because people who come to those kind of shows are not the audience
Yeah.
that comes to my Carnatic shows.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think just exposing to them the richness of this art form is something that I'm really passionate about. And I think I want to keep my Carnatic concerts going, and I'm very seriously in-depth training still with gurus in India and performing. But this ensemble gives me an outlet to express my identity as multicultural, as a kid of the diaspora, and also to bring in an audience that wouldn't otherwise hear it. And I think there's room. I mean, Carnatic music is growing, but it's still within its own community right now. And I think it has the potential. It is a universal art form, despite just the music itself. Like,
Definitely.
It doesn't have any religious connotations aside for the lyrics, but like the actual raga, the technical aspects of the style can connect to anyone. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why don't we wrap up the Dash Radio show and we'll do an extension for the podcast. But Why don't you let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, so I have my music available on Spotify and iTunes under Aditya Prakash Ensemble.
Awesome.
And Instagram, my handle is Aditya Prakash Music, and I post like little practice session clips and like the process of what I'm creating, and also videos of my eating expeditions when I'm traveling.
Musicians and food go like it's a big
Hand in
Oh
connection.
yeah. And then Facebook is the same, Aditya Prakash Music, and Twitter is Aditya K Prakash because Aditya Prakash Music was taken.
Oh man, somebody stole it.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Well, thank you so much for being here. You guys can find Kamaljeet and I at absolutefocus.com. And if you guys can throw some Patreon support at patreon.com/absolutefocus. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and we're back. So for you guys listening on the podcast, you get some bonus interview material. So did you ever have conversations with Raviji about how he made his music more global or universal, or was it just sort of by watching him?
It was a lot by watching. I did have conversations. He would always reminisce about his old times and meeting like MS Subbulakshmi and his relationships with other Carnatic musicians, and he loved reminiscing. But in terms of collaboration, I did so I met you in 2012 when I picked up Prasanna to record that album. It was the first album with the band called The Hidden. I was in 2012, and I drove down to San Diego to play him the album and get his blessings on it and get his advice. It wasn't finished yet. It was like at its final stages, so I wanted to get his input. And he listened to everything, and he said he really likes the ideas and the enthusiasm and the way I've approached it. But he said, always, I want you to always remember that this stuff is fun, but you have to go deep into your classical. Don't forget that.
Right.
And you have to keep doing that and use this as like an expression of that, as something that you can kind of like a hobby, but your main thing should be your classical. And even in this work, if you can stay rooted in your classical at all times, that is what is most important. And I think that is what's stuck with me. And now, I mean, it's taken time for that to internalize, but I'm trying to find ways to. It's a very recent thing, actually, and his advice kind of ruminated within me, and now it's like I'm trying to find ways to. Have I really explored the classical to the full extent? I mean, yeah. I mean, doing classical concerts is great and like very challenging, but have I really discovered like the motion of this gamakam? Does it have to be that way, or is there any? Like, yeah, it's getting me to think and question, and I think also Akram Khan, my time with him, he's also someone who questions the classical, and not in a way that's like going against it, but like ways that will get you to think and not get sometimes classical training can be rigid and rules are this way and you follow it this way, and if you ever get stuck in that pattern, it can be dangerous almost, and you kind of need to have an open mind, and being around people like that.
Yes, Akram Khan is the famed dancer.
Yes, I've been touring with him.
Yeah, so you've toured a lot with him. I think Kamaljeet.
I was privileged to do one show. I was Shomik Datta's understudy.
Oh, that's
so
where
I
was
got
that?
to do one show. It was awesome.
Where was it?
It was the Gnosis show, and it was in
Gnosis.
Birmingham.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I was just there for a few rehearsals and one show, but just to be in the room with such phenomenal musicians, and again, the way he thinks of things, the details, the motions, why should this foot hit this beat, or why should even the lighting, everything.
Everything
about the detail of the lighting. We have to move just a little bit this way, a little bit that way. That lighting wasn't right. It's just mind blowing how much into his art and the detail. It was I was so lucky to do that one show, and you did a whole tour with him. That must have been amazing.
I mean, it's still continuing, goes on until 2021. So
and you tour the world, right? He does big shows.
Big shows, everywhere. I've been to places I've never thought of. Going to Russia next, which I've never been to Russia.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, like the attention to detail at first, you're like, why does that matter? In my head, I obviously don't say that. Why does it matter if I get up this way or if I sing the note like 2 decibels softer? Like, but it really like gets you to think about all those details. Like, do we think about dynamics in classical? We kind of just sing the raga, but if I sing a note like with a certain dynamic, and
it changes the whole.
Yeah, it changes the whole feeling.
Yeah.
But dynamics is something that they don't use the word dynamics, but that's what they're talking about.
Talking about expression.
Yeah, they use the word expression.
Yeah, but dynamics is so hard.
When I'm accompanying, like I've been taught like how to.
It's how you
adjust your dynamics to enhance what the vocalist
is doing
or instrumentalist is doing. And then this notion that you brought up earlier about like questioning things, and so a lot of people think that like Indian classical music is like fixed and like that there is totally no room for innovation. No, it's what made it alive is the innovation. Everybody that like Pandit like he brought something new to the table.
Yeah, like all the big names.
All the big names, like like
Shivkumar,
Shivji, like has had discussions with us, like about like the dog used to be treated this way, but I did this, and then now, and he's like because of this, and this, and now people are following me, like,
and even the way,
and he'll give the history, like he said, like Marva used to be this, like for decade or forever. And then he said Amir Khan Sahib came and he did this Marva. And now that's Marva.
Yeah. So tradition is constantly evolving.
And that's why the music is alive. That's why it's like it's thousands of years old. It's because that people bring something new to the table. So a lot of people think like Indian classical music is associated with old and history, but it's also like it's modern and innovative.
Absolutely.
It's the latest like iPhone 12 or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
Can you imagine being around like when the Mughals came and Drupads were like, oh my God, why are they incorporating all this poetry? This isn't.
Yeah.
And that mashup became Khayal and, innovation, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we just take it for good. We just think, it's an old tradition.
I wonder what became before Drupad, and those guys were like, what's this Drupad stuff?
Yeah, exactly. It's just fascinating how,
So you had brought up like you had this confidence in your youth. So you got to go on like a tour with like a famous musician.
Mm-hmm.
All right, like what's happening on this tour bus? What's
This is clearly post podcast stuff.
Post podcast stuff, man. You're like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Right. There's probably this awkward high school kid.
Yeah.
But then you're touring like Carnegie Hall. Yeah. There's like pretty girls. What's going on?
Backstage.
So I had this warped view that I'm gonna be going on tour. I'm gonna be meeting a lot of girls. There's gonna be like groupies, and I'm gonna be.
What do you mean warped view? This is the view that I want to hear about.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm sorry, man. You're gonna be very disappointed. You're very disappointed. Yeah, there was none of that. Sorry. So it's just like.
Can you give me a wink or something? Like there was none of that, but there was.
Yes.
I mean, it definitely wasn't as like it's not a rock band, all right? So it's at the end of the day, it's classical music.
Here's the thing: like we've been around classical musicians, and we're not gonna name names or say stories, right? But like, it's not rock, but
it's rock.
We have stories.
Yeah.
Right. We all have seen. We've seen things.
They have some fun.
Any classical musicians have some fun.
Yeah, they do.
Not us. We're married to each other.
Yeah. But that fun kind of happens in private and behind the scenes. It's not like a rock tour where everything is out in the open.
Knows,
So I mean, I did like, I was very young to be drinking on a tour bus and like all that stuff. But like I was doing that before I was on tour. I was like, I was a kid. Like your parents tell you no drinking, and you're gonna go do that because you're an American kid and you want to be a rebel. But I mean, it was mostly the best tour bus memory I have is watching Borat in the bus with Raviji.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was dying. He was cracking up. He was like, and everyone, it was like one of the funniest things. We were like, our stomach was like, our abs were hurting from our laughing.
Because you're not only laughing at the movie, you're laughing at him laughing at the movie.
Borat of all things.
So what's your tour bus arrangement? Like, are you all on one bus? Is
like
Raviji separate from you guys?
What's going on?
I think sometimes he would either fly or something if he couldn't be on a bus for that long.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of he must have been in his 80s.
Yeah.
At that time, so he would fly either if it's short enough for us to drive, we would drive. There was a couple of times where he would be on the tour bus with us. If it was a short drive, he couldn't handle the long journeys.
Okay.
But we would probably if we had like a few days off, we would drive to a place, and we'd have like one of those tour buses with beds in them.
Yeah, the bunk beds.
The bunk beds. Those are fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Those were mostly with Anushka though. We did a lot of tour busing for her, like her when she did her Rise album.
Right.
For more of her contemporary work. So those were we would hit the road on those. Like that was a pretty intense tour.
That sounds fun.
It was really
I
fun.
mean, did you prefer that? I mean, Shivji talked about having tour buses, and he said he preferred it because it was just easier on the body, and
yeah, you can relax.
You can relax.
Stop, you can stretch your legs, have a laugh.
And no TSA, no security.
Yeah, I think that was his biggest concern.
Yeah, especially being an instrumentalist, it's tough traveling. Well, I don't. To be honest, it feels like such a lifetime ago that I don't really remember tour bus travel because that was the last time I did it. But it definitely was. It's definitely fun. But I guess nowadays it's just, do we have the patience? Do we have the time for that? Like everyone wants to like maximize their time, and I guess like I don't even consider driving to the Bay Area anymore. It's just like a 1 hour flight, and I have TSA pre-check, so I'm just gonna and I don't waste 14 hours on the road both ways, like 7 hours.
So we had the opposite because of our kids.
Yeah. It's
so TSA with kids is a nightmare, man. Like,
not nice.
And just having them on planes, and you have to take their car seats, you have to take their milk, and you have to take their like breast milk, and
you don't think of anything apart from them. Music is like secondary.
Of course.
Yeah. So we did a couple shows in the Bay Area, and the first one we flew to, like we had to play at the Ahluwalia College of Music, and we flew to that. And we decided to take the kids with us, and our mind was not on music at all.
I was like, how's he gonna eat? What's he gonna eat? We got to get this. It's not gonna.
Our shoulders were just like carrying all these bags of their stuff.
Yeah.
God,
plus santur, plus tabla, like it was just ridiculous.
Did we bring this?
Oh my god, you guys need like an assistant.
Yeah, we need interns.
We need interns.
Then the next concert, which was just a few months later, I was like, you know what? Forget the flights. We're just gonna drive. And it was so casual.
It was so relaxed.
Because like if they need to stop and like use the bathroom or get fries or whatever, you just stop and you're listening to music and
it's true.
Dude, that drive was awesome.
That's when we like caned listening to Mehdi.
We listened to Mehdi Hasan's concert for about 10 hours because we had to drive slower because of the kids, because there was lots of stops. Right? But it was so relaxed, and our kids didn't complain,
which was a miracle.
That's amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
And then my daughter just kept requesting like playing not bado, which is like not bado.
Yeah.
She's like playing not bado.
She loves that one. It was amazing.
And then we loved it. Yeah. So I think driving now to gigs is the way to go for us in the near future.
Yeah. I guess for me, like I could totally see that, but for me, like I'm just trying
It's so easy for you though. You don't need to take anything.
Exactly, and it's just a matter of time. Like I have more time to work on music.
Yeah.
I go in the studio. Like if I'm going to the Bay Area to work on it, I've been working on my new album with Julian Lay is producing it, and his studio's up in the Bay. And I would, instead of driving 7 hours, I would just take an hour flight and go straight to the studio. It would work. I would come back like maybe a day after.
How are you working, by the way? What do you like? What's your writing process? Do you, because you're trained in like the Western notation, and you could probably write it.
I wasn't. I kind of whatever I learned was in school, and it was obviously in school. I'm like I was busy partying and being like a normal student, so I wasn't like, I didn't fully grasp the Western theory. It's just kind of like a tool to write out basic charts for my musicians, but it's not something that I use to help me because it doesn't help me.
That's good to know, because we can't do it.
Yeah, cannot do it. I mean, I just use like programs like Logic and things like that as a compositional tool.
And just map stuff out in MIDI.
As MIDI, and give people reference tracks, and then like little charts. And then it's basically serves a purpose to, like, I'm not good at a producer role. It's just mostly I use those programs as a compositional tool.
And so I think you guys are pretty collaborative, right? Like if you wrote something for your horn player, but then you let them make it their own?
Well, now it's a little bit less collaborative because we just don't have the luxury of time. Like we can't like sit and like experiment together like we did in college.
Days,
So it's kind of, I'll send them ideas, and it depends on how much rehearsal time we have. Sometimes I'm very set with what I hear, what I want, and I think I'm getting more like that because of the confidence I'm getting with writing. But a lot of the times I'm open to whatever I just tell them a general direction I have, and I'm always open to inputs. And obviously, they're better at a horn player would know how to write a horn part better than me. But sometimes, yeah, I'll have a specific line or motion in mind, and I'll write that out and be like, "Can we play this?"
And then are your conversations, so like people in your team, like Julian, like is your conversation with Julian going to be different than your conversation with Shiva because they come from two different worlds? Or
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. With Shiva, it's just comfortable. Like I can tell him what raga, what notes. It's just I'm definitely more fluent in the language of speaking Indian classical music. With Julian, he's starting to understand some of that dialogue, so I can tell him like what notes, like can you play a ni here or a da, or I'm singing, no, I'm not, that raga doesn't have this note, if you can avoid that. But I also know a bit, I've gotten more comfortable with like the chord verbiage, and yeah, so like maybe I'll say, can you play a C7 here, or like a D minor here?
That's good to know.
Yeah, so I mean,
we're still at the like, can you play Sagapa here? Like,
yeah, no, but I mean, it's hard. It takes me a second to process that.
Yeah,
but
you gotta
like,
do some translation.
Yeah, it's just about communication. I mean, you can still say Sagapa. It just takes a little bit longer. You just have to explain what notes. And sometimes I do that if I don't know what chord it is. I'll just tell them, okay, there's a D, E, and a C sharp. Like it's not even a real chord, but like those are the notes in it. And because I mean, yeah, sometimes I don't think in terms of normal chords. I think of a raga and what notes, and I use that mashup.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes we'll if you do, we work with like musicians and rag X or whatever. Like we'll have like re ma da, and then we'll be like, okay, but when you get to the knee, they'll be like, yeah, you can do a chord with knee with this, and we're like, no, but that's illegal. Like,
it's illegal.
You can do it on the way down, but on the way up, it's coming down.
And so, I mean, we also relax ourselves. But you know what? You just in the end, we're like, okay, does it sound good or not? Like,
yeah. And sometimes
you can break rules sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes those notes, as long as they're, I mean, in my opinion, if they're not sticking out too much, it still can enhance the raga too. In a way, it creates a mood behind it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
I think this can go on forever, but I know we all have things to do. So
yeah, absolutely.
So again, like find Aditya Prakash online, buy his albums, don't stream them. Yes. Buy him, send him some money.
That would be nice.
Go to his shows. Go to his shows. He's performing like in your city. He's performing all over the world.
Well, the next time I'm in LA is May 7th at the Skirball Center.
Oh, nice.
With the ensemble, yeah.
Oh,
there'll be a CD release concert.
Oh, we'll be there for sure.
Make it up there.
Yeah. Come again. We'll promote it.
Yeah, May 7th, yeah.
So a year from now.
And I'm planning to release this new album called Diaspora Kid. With the ensemble. It was recorded at UCLA. UCLA sponsored the recording, which is pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And we're releasing it, record label to be announced soon, but it'll be released in the spring of 2020. And so that show is in line with that.
Awesome. So next time you're in town, like you're welcome back anytime, man. I feel we can go into
there's a lot more to
detail.
Be said.
Yeah, a lot more to be said.
Yeah.
So find Aditya Prakash online, find us online, and thanks again for listening.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button.